Today's project for about 45 minutes is to use this blue tubing and start tacking it up into place for the lighting wiring to go through. So I should be able to do it fairly quickly. So that's how they're going to go. Got these little clamps here that just kind of guide them on the wood. Just little tiny circular clamps, and just screwing them in place. Then I'll run the light gauge LED wiring through, but this will let us slip wires in and out without having to access the ceiling later. So I think what I'm going to do is get the label maker out, put a label on this end for which light it goes to, and then we'll slip wiring through it and cut it to length ahead of time. Leave a little excess, but we'll cut it to length. So I have these 3 lights for near the head of the bed tubed in here. I've just got to run the wires through. I've got them labeled, but they go through and they're tacked with the clamps, so they kind of hang where they're going to go. And now I've just got to run some wires and make sure that my theory works here, that I can fish wires through them. So I'm pushing the wiring through. I'm finding out that I probably want to put the wire through and leave a little extra on the one side and then push it back in after trimming, because pushing it through the bends here at this length of the longest one seems to be a little bit challenging. Hopefully I'm nearing the end. But pushing it through is a bit challenging. Okay, so I've got the wires here on this end sticking out, and each of the 3 has wires sticking out to connect to the LED lights. So this is working just like I planned, although I am gonna make sure I push the wires through while the tubing is straight next time. It's just a little easier. I'm getting a little bit of work done on the bus, and it's kind of a rainy day, but a beautiful spring day nonetheless. Got all the colors popping around here, buds on trees. Just really awesome. Got trees flowering with their, I guess it's buds, but yeah, just admiring the scenery here as I walk over to the bus, so thought I would share. So these tubes are all done here for the first 6 lights above the bed. So we've got the reading light above the driver's side here. The skylight's going to go in the middle. So we've got a center light that's going to go into the middle of this panel. Then we've got a reading light over there for the passenger side. And then we're going to have 3 lights in a row at the foot of the bed. 1, 2, 3. So they all join here for the microcontroller. And now I'm going to move on to the other lights within the ceiling. There's going to be, I think, 3 lights, 1, 2, 3, in that panel right, in the row right there. Those will be for the sort of hallway by the bathroom. The lights above the jacuzzi, where I'm standing right now, will actually be in a separate ceiling that is right in this area. I do need to, I think I have the fan controller coming off this one over into this area, so I believe I need to run another wire for the fan up into here. It'll probably be 2 tubes. I think the 14 gauge wiring might only accommodate 1 per tube. I have to check that. So I've used 2 tubes here for this 14 gauge wire for the fan. With force, I could get both of them down the tube, but the idea here is to make it easy to pull new wire, not a struggle. So 2 tubes made more sense. I'm not sure what corner of the fan the wire is going to go into. I believe it'll be the front corner here, which is why I brought the wires up there. The fan's going to be a 14-inch box in the center here. I just dumped something on the ground in the center here. And this wire will, I believe, come up into the corner here. So hopefully that's correct. Now I'm going to run 1, 2, 3 lamps wires for lamps over the walkway here. So here's the second section. I've got 3 lights there, three wires going for lights over this hallway area that walks beside the composting toilet, which will be here. There'll be a wall where I'm standing right in here. There'll be a wall dividing. And the composting toilet will be down low, and then there'll be the jacuzzi tub. There'll be a walkway. It'll be on a platform going back. And I'm actually debating about not doing a platform that high in the back bedroom area. I don't think it really serves a purpose. I think what I'm going to do is lower that level and make it sort of a half sunken jacuzzi. So I've got to think about that, but I don't like the back platform anymore. I think I'm going to alter the design a bit. So anyhow, the lighting tubes here are roughed in. I think that's about all I'm going to do this evening. So I have a couple hours here to continue on the wiring in the ceiling. And I actually brought my spreadsheet of the LED lights that I'm installing in the bus for the microcontrollers. So, and other devices. So I'm not going to forget to run any wires here. And I'm going to get started. Part of what I'm doing this evening is I've got these Velcro wire wraps. These were less than $10 on Amazon for 100. And I'm going to start organizing these wires so that they will flow down this chase, or what will be the chase. The chase is going to be right underneath here. There's probably going to be wood resting on this lip right here and coming out and up. And then there'll be LED uplighting, but it will also hold the wiring. So I'm going to use these Velcro wire wraps to just kind of organize these wires. Okay, so on this side I've used the Velcro wire straps. They're a little light and kind of cheap, but they're working. At this point I have tubing put in 3 zones. Got a couple more to do. Okay, so I'm done for the evening, and I've got 4 zones at this point and the ceiling finished. I'm at the bus again on a Saturday here. I'm going to put a good solid day in, and I'm basically going to have this all finished up front in the loft with the wiring chase. Next thing I'm going to do is put wires into the fan right there. The third fan for the bus is going to go where that existing vent hole is, so we'll run the tubes for wiring there. After that, I'll be putting insulation in this space up front, along with the blocking for the ceiling. And I'll probably have to break out the welder to do that. In fact, I'll definitely have to weld. So I'll probably run the bead on the spots on the side here where you've got daylight showing from the roof rays. Just need to repair those cracks, at least get a bead welded from the inside so that there's backer from the outside. So lots to do. I'm going to get at it. Okay, these 2 tubes here for the third fan in the bus up front, and they circle around and come up into this corner. I believe most of the fans, the power comes in the back corner where they hinge for the lid, but hopefully I'm not wrong on that. But anyway, at least it's in the vicinity. Next thing I'm going to do is put some insulation in here. I'll cut a board, and I think then I might do a little bit of spray foaming and then get started over on this part. I might hit all the cracks behind me with spray foam. Then I'll get started with the welding up here, and hopefully insulating and getting the blocks put in place, etc., etc. At this point I have insulation up the center. I'm going to have to finish that wiring dressing a little bit, get the heat gun on it and melt the shrink wrap, etc. Maybe solder, a little bit of solder on some of those, but sort of a mixed bag here up in the front. I've got to kind of do a few different tasks at once. Right now I'm cutting triangles for the for insulation in that space right there. And after that, I'm probably going to address the welding of the bus skin to fix where we had to cut. Up here in the loft, I've put these triangles in place. Got them tabbed in. When I do the spray foam edging, these will get locked in and glued in place, so to speak, by the spray foam. It's pretty tacky. So I've got enough done here that at this point I need to get out the welder here and get it hooked up and weld some beads from the inside on that sheet metal, or at least tack enough that I can patch it from the outside and have a backer. So at this point I've got the overcap bunk ceiling here blocked in. Just need to screw some long pieces in place, and got maybe one more over here to do. Possibly 2 more blocks. Got to think about that, but at this point I'm going to put these stringers in place on top of the blocks and start running the wiring for the lighting above the cab, or above the over cab bunk. At this point I have the runners extended all the way to the front here. I've got the last little bit of runners to do in the back. This will be handled on the side a little bit differently, as will this over here. There'll be a little bit of a shelf built in, leveraging that metal to fasten some plywood in place. But at this point I'm ready to mark the center line here, and I intend to get a better center line mark all the way down, and then put some marks in the wood to line up the plywood for the ceiling. And I'll try to make sure these are all in the right positions all the way down. And then from there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the electrical conduit, the blue tubing like that, for the over cab. And then I think I can start painting plywood at that point. So that's the agenda. So at this point I have all the runners put up, and I have all the rough end of the LED lighting done, and I'm ready to paint ceiling panels and install them. I was able to get this last bit of LED lighting conduit in place, 3 lights over the sleeping area here. So that's all that needs to go into the ceiling at this point, and like I said, I'm ready to paint plywood. Okay, I'm back at the bus here. I'm gonna spray foam today. That's why I stopped and bought this butt ugly hat for $1.99 from the little surplus store on the way here, because I don't want spray foam in my hair. So I'm spray foaming the cracks in the ceiling with canned spray foam, and then after that I'll be painting these ceiling panels with primer, and probably do the backside with old paint and odd colors that I have laying around, and then I'll do the front with primer and a nice flat white coat. So that's the agenda. In the back of the bus here, I broke some pieces of insulation to kind of wedge in here. I'm going to be spray foaming here to start with, getting the nooks and crannies filled up. So I've been spray foaming for a while. I've got the cracks pretty much done, but I've run out of foam. My brother had some Hilti foam, but it's not coming out of the cans right. It must be old. So anyhow, I've got a little bit more to do in the front, but I got to go get some more spray foam. After that I'll be able to paint. I think I'll be done with the spray foam. I'm going to go back later and rip the parts off like that are protruding too much. But I've got all the gaps and cracks sealed between the pieces of insulation here, and I see actually one more spot I missed there, right in there. But anyhow, I'm going to give it one last go around, make sure I've got it all, and then I'll start painting ceiling panels. What I'm doing right now is tidying up the bus so I can paint the boards. I've got the excess insulation out of here. I just stacked it in the pavilion, except for those pieces there. Do the same here shortly. But what I'm going to do now is start sweeping, getting these extra pieces of wood and all the sawdust picked up. What I'm doing right now is I'm bundling up this wire on the side with the wire wraps, and I'm taping these blue conduits to the ceiling with this very sticky Gorilla Tape, duct tape, and that way they'll be right in the spot where I need them. When I go to put the ceiling panels up, I won't have to go reaching in for wires through a tiny LED hole, so I should be able to just grab them easily as I put the panel in place and slip them through. So anyhow, I'm going to continue doing this as I clean up the bus, and then I'll start painting. Cleaning up the bus, cleaning up this electrical wiring. I've got it Velcroed, and I've run it into the dead space here of the ceiling all the way over to the electric box. I'm going to band those quite a bit so they're nice and snug. Hopefully that avoids metal fatigue or hardening of the copper. I didn't use stranded. I know people say you should. I'm playing it by ear. This is what I already had, so worst case I can fish new wire through if I need to. I built the outlet chases here so that I could slip a new wire through by pulling from the outlet. So hopefully I don't need to do that, or if I do, it will be quite some time. But I'm going to run these through the ceiling. Worst case, if I need to run a new line, I can run it through the floor if I have to, but I could also build this particular part of the ceiling panel. I may build this so that I've got a small section that I can remove to be able to fish wires if I need to. So got to think about that. I may also opt to run some of that blue tubing from side to side. I think that's what I'm going to do. I might run 5 or 6 blue tubings from side to side just in case I need to run wires up through the roof. I can strip their shield, their cladding, and fish them through the tubes. So I've got 6 tubes run across with the wires up through the ceiling pieces here. Some of them are just for future use if I need to fish wiring, but 2 of them are going to be to bring 12-volt wiring for power supply over to the microcontrollers on this side of the bus. So that'll probably be 14 gauge if I had to guess, but that'll supply power to all the lighting. Probably also the fans, but I might need to increase the gauge if I do that. I've got to do a calculation on what wire gauge, but either way it'll work. So I'm starting on the process of painting now. I've got the C side of these, the less smooth side facing outward. I've got them stacked up against the wall of the bus. We got the 12-inch wide pieces, the 18-inch wide pieces. There's 10 of each of those. And then the 36-inch wide pieces, there's 5 of those. So the first thing I'm going to do is use a paint and primer in one to paint the back side. I've got some leftover paint. I got some pink and some brown. I'm going to make sure that it's obvious which side is the C side by painting it with the odd color paint. And then once we've dried that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint going up and down, and then with gloves on I'll scoot it over to this wall with cardboard underneath so it can dry, and put little probably foam pieces as spacers between the boards. So that's what I intend to do to be able to paint them in this space quickly.